Okay, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Baruch Hashem, here we are for another Limit class. Tonight, we are preparing for Pesach. And over the years, we've done a lot of different classes, whether it's my marm for Pesach, whether it's cooking tips for Pesach, whether it's cleaning tips for Pesach, how to not freak out before Pesach. I would love to re-listen to that class right now. And we've covered a lot of different aspects of Pesach. But this year, we decided to hone in a little bit more on the practical halacha. I know many people, whether they're staying in their own apartments and they have to clean it for Pesach, or they're going someplace where they're going to be helping out another family, or they're going back to their parents' home and they have to be a part of that. So we really wanted to give people more practical application, and we have the great zchus of having Rabbi Osdoba. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight's class is partially sponsored for happy birthday in honor of our anonymous friend. And we may not know who she is, but she gets all of our brachas, and Hashem should venture with only good in brachas in every way, shape, and form. And yeah, we can't wait to share in simchas. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good, right?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. That's
Good evening, everybody. We're going to be discussing the halachas of Kashering for Pesach. So it all begins with a pasuk in the Torah. The Torah, it says, after the war with Midian, so they captured a lot of stuff from Midian, pots and pans and more things. And the Torah says, Kol davar asher yaveh v'eish, anything that came into fire should be yaviru v'eish, should be put through the fire. The Torah is teaching us over here that not only is the food that's prohibited, but even the absorption is also prohibited. And the Torah is telling us that anything that came into that the way you prepare the food is with fire, you have to kash it with fire. And the rule is, Chacham understand this to mean that the same way the absorption came in, the same way the absorption is going to go out. So according to how it was used, thus you have to kasher it. So if you take, for example, a pot, the absorption came in through hot water, you have to kasher it with hot water. The absorption came in through fire or through heat, same thing like fire, direct, not with a medium of liquid, then the absorption is going to come out through fire, through heat, through intense heat. So let's take a pot. So how do you kasher a pot? A pot that you boil spaghetti inside. What do? You have to kasher it with hot water. What does it mean? You have to boil the pot with hot water, and you let it boil. It boils, you boil to the top, and then it spills over, because you get on the rim too. That kashers it. That's one way to do it. Then there's another way. We said that one way is through hot liquid, hot water. Another way is through fire. But there's also another way that's with fire, but it's the same category as using hot water. It's a lighter form of heat, a lighter form of fire. And that is, if let's say you'll take the pot, and instead of filling it with water, and it's going to boil and spill over, make a whole mess, you take the fire, turn it upside down, you put on the burner, and it gets very hot inside. Now the heat is kashering it. Now you don't need such intense heat because the absorption did not come in through fire, it came in through the hot water. So we don't need such intense heat like if you're kashering a baking pan where the absorption comes straight through the heat without any liquid in between. It's a much stronger absorption. So you don't need such intense heat. That's called liban kal, a light form of kashering. Now, don't leave it too long on the fire. You won't have a pot left. So you leave it until you can't put your finger on the outside of the pot. When you feel you can't put, or a better way is if you take a tissue, it says if you take like something very thin like a tissue, and you put it there, and it'll singe a little bit, get a little black or brown, you know that it's very hot. And then a baking pan, you bake challah on directly. It's not just a baking pan. Everybody uses disposable, but when they used to do it, a regular baking pan. So you have to, if you want to kasher that, heat. Heat meaning a blowtorch. It can be over the burners, but you have to get everything hot. Now, if you're using a blowtorch, you have to know what you're doing. If you never used a blowtorch before, don't test it unless if you have old pots you want to test it on. But you also want to be careful, safety issues. So you have to know what you're doing. Now, before you kasher with water, with hot water, you're supposed to wait 24 hours not to use it for hot chametz. You can use it for cold chametz, but you don't want to use the pots for hot chametz 24 hours before you kasher it. Now, you have cups, bowls, and spoons. You don't cook inside the cup. You don't cook inside the bowl. You don't cook. So, do you have to pour up a pot of water and put it into the pot of water? Really, you don't, because that's not how you use it. But practically, you do. You should, because sometimes you do take the spoon and you take out some soup from the pot. So now the absorption came while it was inside the pot. There's an opinion that says, even though you only do it sometimes, you still should kasher it that way. So the chatchila, even spoons that sometimes goes into the pot that's on the fire, you should also kasher it inside the pot. Now, when you kasher in the pot, what does that mean? We spoke about kashering the pot itself, filling up with water till it boils over. Kashering cutlery is very simple. You boil up the pot with water, and when it's boiling, you throw in the cutlery. That's it. It's actually not that's it. You don't want to leave it there too long, because if it's left too long, there's a concern that the absorption might go back in. And the chatchila, we don't want the absorption going back inside. So the chatchila should be there for like 6 to 10 seconds. I saw some places they write a half a minute. I don't know where they got it from. My father told me years ago 6 to 10 seconds.
To make the pot shape or
No, because it wasn't used for hot chametz for 24 hours. Mm-hmm. So whatever taste comes out is stale. It's really not a prohibited taste, but chatchila we're supposed to kasher it. So you want to leave it there not more than 6 to 10 seconds, and then you take it out right away, and then you pour cold water over it. The reason is because there's still a concern the absorption will go back inside after you take it out, so the cold water stops that from going back inside. So this all the chatchila, you take it out. So you don't just throw tons inside and then spend 5 minutes taking it out. You don't do that. You put in a few together. If you have a way out to hold it, practically everyone has different ways.
Tongues, no?
If you have tongues, I guess use tongues. Or if you have a big spoon to take out the small spoon, whatever works. But make a calculation that you don't want to leave it there more than 6 and 10 seconds. If you do leave it there longer, don't worry about it. It doesn't invalidate the kashering. It's just the chatchila. That's the way to do it.
Just to understand it, basically, first you kasher the pot. You leave the pot without using it for 24 hours.
Right. Okay.
What's
so
step by step?
Right. So I was talking about the items that you're kashering should not be used for 24 hours. If you're kashering the pot, kashering the cutlery. Now you're asking about the pot that you're kashering inside, right? That's so I was going to get to that. So fine. So the pot they use for kashering, what kind of pot should you use? A Pesach pot? This makes no sense. A chametz pot? Catch 22. What do? A chametz pot. You want to kasher it. You don't use a Pesach pot. You use a chametz pot. That's a pot that's officially chametz, but not really chametz. You get it? No? Okay. So either, right, okay, so that can mean two things. That can mean what I was referring to, well, not really, because you have sometimes a kettle that you don't cook chametz inside the kettle. It's officially chametz, but you never cook chametz. You don't cook chametz inside. That's one option. Another option, a pot that you did cook chametz inside, but you waited 24 hours. So either or is fine. Frying pan. Yeah.
Is that something that, like, it's not technically?
I guess they sell. I didn't grow up with it. That's why it's not in my. Yeah. I guess now they sell kashering pots that's special for kashering. It's like a bit. Yeah. If you could.
Then when you eat it,
These days everything is easier. Yeah. If there's a kashering pot, then you solve the issue. Yeah. Yeah.
wow.
Now a frying pan. How do you kasher a frying pan? There's a in general there's a machlekes throughout the year. In other words, when you're kashering for other things, non-kosher to kosher. What category is a frying pan? Is it like a pot or is it like a baking pan? It's like in between, right? It's not filled up with liquid. It's not dry. So it's machlekes how to kasher it. And generally we try to be strict. By Pesach, it's actually there's a reason to be lenient, but in actuality, we are strict. We kasher frying pan properly with a blowtorch. However, if it's a Teflon frying pan, you cannot kasher it because it could get damaged with the kashering, and anything that could get damaged with kashering, we're not allowed to kasher it. What do we not allowed? You can kasher it, but the kashering won't be valid because if there's a concern that it might get damaged, Chacham are concerned you might not do a good job. So they say that kashering is not valid. So because I believe Teflon could be damaged, and also may be questionable on the material inside if it's ceramic. But in any case, I believe the main reason is because it could get damaged, so you might not kasher it properly. So you cannot kasher a Teflon frying pan. Now, talking about earthenware pots and pans that are made from the earth, yeah, earthenware. For example, porcelain and china. These are earthenware. Shulchan Aruch says that earthenware, it's based on a pasuk in the Torah. In the Torah it says, by the sacrifices, the sacrifice in the base of Mikdash, there's a certain amount of time the kohanim can eat it. A day and a night, 2 days or 1 night. Afterwards, you can't eat it anymore. Throw it out. No, they cooked it. They didn't eat it raw. That means the absorption of the pot after that time is not kosher. So Torah says, if it's an earthenware pot, you have to break. The Torah is teaching us that you cannot get out the absorption from an earthenware pot. There is one way you can get it out, and that is you put it into a kiln. A kiln, I believe, goes up to 1600 degrees. That's where they make the pottery. If you put it in there, then it's going to be kosher, but then it won't be a pot. So that's the only way to make it kosher. So therefore, even if someone decides, theoretically, so let's say you have an earthenware keli that the absorption is not so strong. Let's say it's a pot. I'm sorry. Let's go. Yeah.
I just have a quick question. Are you saying all these dishes are being bought from the store and like the kashering before Pesach? Or you're saying that they're
No. I'm talking about chametz dishes. I'm sorry, I should have made that clear.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about We're talking about chametz dishes. Good. Now the earthenware that we have these days are glazed. The china is glazed. Porcelain, a lot of them is also glazed. So it's not the earthenware the way it used to be. The earthenware the way it used to be was more porous. The absorption was very strong. That's why you can't kasher it, because the absorption goes in very strong and you can't get it out. The earthenware that we have these days is the absorption is not as strong, but it's still earthenware. You can't kasher it. But there's an opinion that says that these days, because it's not such a strong absorption, because it's glazed, you could kasher it. And this opinion says you could kasher it 3 times. So according to this opinion, porcelain, china, you could kasher 3 times. But that's not the halacha. You cannot kasher it. Halacha is that it's one opinion. But this opinion is an opinion that is used in situations where it's a shasatrak, a difficult situation, if it's a major loss. Sometimes people have an issue where they inherited china, very expensive china, and you can't kasher it. So you speak to a Rav, and there's details involved, how you're allowed to kasher it. I don't think it's relevant now, so unless you want me to explain it, what that situation is, otherwise we'll just move on to the next situation. Yeah, clear? Okay, so yeah. So come inside.
We're having another share somewhere else.
Okay. Okay. So the bottom line is earthenware cannot be kashed. Porcelain, china can't be kashed. Period. Not all year round. Not for Pesach. It can't be kashed. Now a sink. How do you kasher a sink? So we said the way it absorbs, that's how you get out the absorption. The way it comes in, that's how it comes out.
So the hot water?
In general, that's a general rule. Any way, like how you kash this? Well, how does absorption come in? Now a sink. Why do you have to kash a sink? No one cooks inside a sink. But sometimes hot spaghetti, it falls into the sink and there's an absorption. Hot soup, chametz soup, is spilled into the sink. So theoretically, how would you have to kash a sink with hot water? Because how does the chametz get into the sink? The soup spills into the sink. That's chametz. But sometimes you can have also solid pieces of spaghetti falling onto the sink. Now, here's something interesting. And that is, even though we said before, that when do you have to kasher in a clean, when a pot has to be kashered with boiling water because you cook inside, but even if it's not a pot of water that you cook a pot that you cook inside, even if it's hot, solid food that touches the counter or touches the sink, that's also, according to many opinions, considered like a kli rishon because it's solid and it's hot. So the absorption is coming by the solid, hot food touching the counter, touching the sink. So that's equivalent to the absorption that goes into a kli rishon while it's on the fire. Which means that the sink, if spaghetti falls into the sink, even though most of the absorption is not this way, but our opinions that say being sometimes it's used this way, has to be kashered in a kli rishon. That means in theory, if it was physically possible, hypothetically speaking, to take the sink and put it into a pot of water, we would do that. But it's not possible to take the sink and put it into a pot of water. So therefore, what we do is, there's something called, you heard about the rock? The hot rock, right? You heat up a rock. What's the hot rock all about? Anyone knows what it's all about? What does it do? We keep it out. You boil up water and it keeps it out. You boil the water and you pour it. It's boiling. Sorry, this water is dangerous. But now you put the hot rock. How hot do you want it to be? Because the heat of the water while it's in the pot, as compared to when you pour it out of the pot, you can't compare it. It's not the same. Inside the pot, it's going to be much hotter than when you pour it out. So if it's supposed to be kashed inside the pot, so if it's supposed to be kashed inside the pot, then it's not, if you're pouring the water from the pot into the sink, it's not getting to that temperature. It's a lower temperature. So therefore the hot rock heats up the water back to the same temperature how it was inside the pot. That's the idea of the hot rock. So you
put the rock on the sink?
Right, let's explain. So let's make it clear. So what's the purpose of the hot rock? To bring up the temperature of the water that you poured out of the pot. Now it's a lower temperature. By using the hot rock, that raises the temperature back to the same temperature how it was inside the pot. Right? So now you're asking, okay, how? But now you understand this, right? Okay, so now I understand why people use a hot rock, because really, the sink is supposed to be kashed inside a pot. It doesn't fit in. Now, you're asking, how do we use it practically? So, practically, it only works for the bottom of the sink, not for the walls. Makes no sense unless you have a way out to keep the water stuck to this. It doesn't work. So it's really made for countertops and the bottom of the sink. So while there's still some water sitting there, whatever amount of water, this hot rock you put on the water, and that makes the water even hotter than before. On the sink. Yeah, on the sink, on the countertop. Is it easy? Is it always? It's not so simple. You have to. It doesn't always work, but that's what it's about.
On the side of the sink,
it doesn't help, right?
You could pour and put the rock at the same time. That's what we do.
How could you pour? Oh, yeah? Okay. Adanab, on the contrary, if there's a way, right? So if you have a few people working together, right? In other words, while this is very good, while the water's pouring, if you can have someone who could time it properly, yeah. If you can do that, that's great. Yeah. Something very important when you're kashering the sink. When you can't,
or like in the pot also?
You can't wherever they sell it in the stores now. So whatever the instructions are, either you put it over the fire, or over the fire, whatever works. Now, when you are again using hot rock, you have to make sure you know what you're doing. You have to be careful, and you want to be safe. Now,
also,
one
the metal around the hot rock we see like red, right? Is that the amount of hot that it needs to be?
if it needs, depends what kind of hot rock it is. You know, in Shulchan Aruch, when it speaks about kashering like a baking pan, it says it's supposed to kasher it. It says anything is to be kasher with heat. It says it should be kasher until it becomes red hot.
Right.
The materials these days don't turn red hot. So it really depends. You asked me about no, they're not. No, they're not. They're designed such a way they don't become red hot.
Like the metal around that holds.
So I don't. If it's meant to be, I'm not familiar. I myself never used it. I don't know how to use it.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have experience with that. Yeah. So if it's meant to be used, you have to look at the instructions. If it's whatever takes it to the highest temperature. Could be it's not meant to be done this way, to become red. I don't know. Anyways, it's only the lechatchila. In other words, it's the lechatchila you want to do it this way. According to Halacha, we go according to the majority of the usage. So in Halacha, because the majority of the usage, it's not used. You don't hot salt chametz doesn't touch the sink and the counter. That's why Halacha it's okay if you don't use it. If one could do it, that's the way to do it. Now, something very important when you kash the sink, and that is when you're pouring water into the sink, make sure to touch the bottom before you go to the sides. Don't start going to the sides and then go to the bottom. Why? Because you want the hot water to touch the sink while it's dry. How is the hot water going to affect the sink or anything you're kashering? If you have liquid there, the liquid cools it off. You don't want liquid there. So you want it to be dry. So you want to start from the bottom up.
But wasn't the svara that whatever Tom came out of the pores on the top now sits on the bottom?
Okay, and then what? So it's sitting on the bottom, and then?
So then it's being re-soaked in from the pores in the bottom of the sink.
I get what you're saying. You're getting the taste off from the top, you're going on to the bottom.
And now it's cooled at the bottom. Now the bottom is...
The issue is that... So what?
The svara that we've had is that we kasher from the top, so that way the taste from the top goes down.
And then
you wash off the bottom, and then the bottom is also kasher. As opposed to if you kasher the bottom, and then the taste from the top now falls on the kasher at the bottom, and now it's hot.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. I don't think. I'll explain you. No, I don't think. First of all, you have to understand whatever we haven't used it for 24 hours. So whatever's coming out as a kosher is not an issue. So even if it goes back in, it doesn't create any problem because when it transfers a few times, and when it's a kosher taste that transfers a few times, the potency becomes weakened and there's no issue. So I believe this overrides what I'm saying now, because if you start from the top, by the time you get to the bottom, it's not really eating mikleish. You're not pouring from it because you're pouring onto the sink that's wet, and that it's not the same strength. So this is more important. Yeah.
Is this when people just have like dishes for Pesach and dishes for during the year because it just gets really confusing?
Correct. Yeah,
So you can't have a
exactly.
separate sink. Yeah, the separate sink's a little.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that's why.
Yeah. And people have separate kitchens if they're able to. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Shambayu.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we're doing all that, why we wrap it 5 times?
Okay, so the reason why we covered the sink is because even though we kashered it, like we said, not necessarily are we doing the rock. Oh, by the way, there's another way how to do it with a hot iron. The hot iron to try to do what I'm able to. Right. Make sure you unplug it. Right. The hot, very important. Unplug it. Right.
You make it hot, and then right before you do the whole
You unplug it.
You unplug and then you.
Right. So the point is, we're not always using the hot iron or the hot rock. So it's not the maximum level of kashering. Therefore, it's better to cover it also. And also another reason is sometimes there can be there's a backup from the sink, and you have stuff that's there from before coming back up. So if you have a sink insert, you're protected. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We're getting to that. Yeah, we're getting to that. Now, when you're kashering the sink, if you're living in a private house, and you could up the temperature of the hot water in the boiler. It's like this. You make the water very, very hot, and then you open up the spout, so the water is coming out very hot, and it's kashering from inside too. And also, if you want to heat up water, it makes it's more practical. So you have chatzchil, you're starting with hot water. Yeah. So to run it, 10, 15 seconds. How long could it be? 20 seconds? Not too long. Yeah.
And then you still meaning because the water running makes it kosher from the inside.
From the inside, and you're kashing from the outside. Right. Now, in general, I mentioned that before, after we kash with hot water. Yeah.
You don't have to pour cold water on it afterwards, correct?
Oh, I was about to say that. That's what I was about to say. You are supposed to. It's just that if you don't worry about it. You're still good. The chatchila, we try to use cold water.
Right.
In every kasha with hot water, the countertops, the table. So right after there's one person coming with hot, and one person coming with cold. Yeah, you need a few people. Yeah.
So far.
I'll tell you. My husband does the hot, I do the rock, then he puts down the hot, and then he gets the cold, and then he pours the cold. So
it's a whole. It's a big aveda. It's a big aveda. Yeah. Now plastic. Now kashering plastic. In general, is questionable all year round. If you could kasher plastic, we're not sure what the material is. All year round, we can be lenient to kasher plastic because you don't cook in the plastic, so the absorption is much less. So one can be lenient to kasher plastic, especially if you do it 3 times. And even glass, many opinions say you could kasher 3 times all year round.
even what?
Glass.
No, I'm saying lavabo.
Yeah, many Rabbanim will say that glass you could kasher 3 times all year round. Now for Pesach.
Doesn't break? What is 3 times?
Well, that's your business. You have to make sure. Well, that's really a practical thing. If you're concerned it's going to break, then you don't do it. But I'm saying, from a halachic point of view,
3 times means
that. No. 3 times means you put it in other words, whether it's you're putting in or pouring on, you repeat the process 3 times. Once you put cold water and you dry it and you repeat it 3 times. Now for Pesach, we don't kasher plastic, we don't kasher glass, we are strict. Stovetop, right? The stovetop. So what do you do with the stovetop? So now, a good idea is, in the future, if you're ever planning to buy an oven, keep in mind, when you order an oven, ask the company if you could buy it with replacements. So replacement grates. Sometimes you could change the whole top. Some ovens, they might have a replacement for the whole top of the oven. They might have. If you order it that way, you might get it. Now, assuming you don't have that, so what do? You take off the grates, and you have to kash the grates with fire, intense heat, blowtorch, or the fires. You put on the fires, and
Do you put it in the oven when you finish the oven?
you always get that question. I think there's different, I never get it straight, and I believe the reason is because there's different opinions. So I'm hearing this, that. It's not, I heard some people saying,
When the grates, the gas doesn't go to the
yeah, it
First of all,
seems
stop
that,
cleaning
it,
ovens.
it seems that there are reliable, I'm going to get to that. It seems there are reliable opinions that it does, but I'm not sure. I could try to find out. By the way, there's someone in Crown Heights named Rabbi Shaltiel Lubavitch. He does kashering. It's a business. In other words, if you hire him, after keep you on his number, he comes and does it, and you don't have the whole hassle. Now, so what do? It's not so complicated. You can make
And
it.
he has great stories.
Huh?
He has great stories.
Yeah?
Yeah, he kashes them home.
Oh, yeah? Okay, now, so you take the grate, either you can hold it with gloves or whatever, and now you put it through the fire slowly till every part gets very hot. Okay? If by me, in my house, I have long grates, so I could do while holding one edge, I could do more than half of it. Then you put it down. Then you take the other grate, because now you let it cool off. No.
Oh.
Cold water is only when you're using hot water. Hot water, cold. If you're using heat, you don't need cold water. Then you put it down. Then you take the other grate, because let it cool off meanwhile. You just have to keep track of what you did. Then you do the other grate. If you have two long grates, that's what I do. And then you do the half of the other grate. You have two long grates, right? You have two long grates. Look here. You have two long grates, yeah? So I'm holding the grate. It's just not staying up. I'm holding on to this. Imagine this is staying up.
Yeah.
And I'm putting this part over the fire. But I'm putting it, this is the fire here.
You're saying 'cause you don't want to touch
And
the
I'm
other
putting
side of
it
the top.
slowly. Then I did half of it. Then I put it down. Then I do this half.
Right.
This cools off. I'm done with this. Then I grab this and I do this. So you don't have to stand and wait. Okay, this is cooled off, You still check before you grab it. Don't rely on when you finish this. But it cools off pretty fast. It doesn't, there's nothing, there's nothing to hold on. It cools off.
You
said
said
then-
it has to be red to the point of.
It doesn't get red. The materials these days don't get red.
Oh, it gets red.
By you it gets red? Really? That's so interesting.
That's what we were told. We were told to leave them on, put a metal blech on top.
Okay, that's another way. So that's another.
Well,
Well,
burn it until it turns red.
it actually gets red by you.
And then you touch it. You've seen it, right? Then you touch it with a napkin. It goes, and then we're like, okay. It's
Very good, very
it's
good.
fine.
It's interesting.
I don't know. I have very old oven, I guess. So.
It's all in its old oven.
Yes, so.
It is.
Pretty old.
Uh-huh. So it could be.
It's an old building. Yeah.
So it's in a building, and it's oven it's on your oven. That could be the reason. Okay. Now, yes, I was going to get to covering the blech, but I just feel that, see, the blech is great, but when you put on the fire, it's not burning the whole grate. The grate is, right? So that's why I think it's better this way, you get the whole grate. And then afterwards, you can put a blech and put on all four burners, and that will keep the heat inside. But I use silver foil. You cover with heavy-duty silver foil, and now if you're using silver foil, you have to be careful, because if you cover too much and it has no air, the fire goes out. So you can also poke a few holes in it, because with silver foil it bends over and it could cover everything, and then the fire goes out. Now you also want to be careful if you're putting all four burners. You don't want it to the fire could get too big and the fire might go flying. It could spread out. I'm saying if you put four burners, make it on the highest. You have to watch what's going on. You have to be careful.
Why are we putting 4 burners?
Oh, what are we kashering? You're kashering the enamel, the top of
the
the oven.
whole thing.
Yeah, because the grades you can do it by itself,
Wait, how
but the enamel top doesn't come off. How do you do that? How's it get? So when
Which one's first?
it doesn't really matter. I mean, you do it all together, right? You keep the grates there. Yeah, that's.
But also, maybe
I guess
mention
you
about
could do it.
cleaning.
You could do it that way.
Everything you kasha has to be
Huh?
clean. Maybe mention that everything you kasha has to be clean.
Right.
That's an important part.
Very
So you
good.
first clean
Thank
it,
you. Thank you.
and
Right.
I'm not used to clean.
A general rule before your kasha has to be cleaned thoroughly.
Yeah.
Now, in theory, if you're using a blowtorch, the blowtorch is going to clean it also. But you don't always use a blowtorch. Now, yeah.
Wait, what if you don't have fire stove? What if it's just electric?
If it's just electric, so that kashes, it's the same idea. It kashes it by itself. So you put on the heat, you put on all 4 burners, either with a blech or with silver. Just be very careful. Watch what's happening over there. Nothing should skip. Yeah, you're right. Right. So same idea. The same idea. Blech, silver, cover it.
So you do it with the electric one? Just turn it on?
Turn on all 4 burners and cover it. So it'll keep. You understand what's the idea of covering it so it keeps the heat inside and makes the whole thing inside.
So it's red?
If it gets red, sometimes not always it gets red. What I do is I put my finger quickly to see if it's hot. Go like this, see if it's hot. Quick, you won't burn it, so you do it quick. You see how hot it is.
How long will it the whole thing?
Maybe 2 minutes. It's hard to give an exact time. Basically, you're watching it, and after a minute, you take a finger and carefully you go very quick like this. You won't burn yourself. You'll see.
It doesn't have to be red. You just want to see if it's hot enough.
I don't know if it could get red. I don't think it won't get.
It depends on the material.
It's the material, exactly. The idea of getting red is because back then all the materials were like that, and if it didn't get red, that means it didn't get as hot as possible.
Okay.
So it's about getting as hot, right?
Got it. So not everything. So depending on the material, it doesn't have to be red hot.
Correct.
Can you do the paper towel sizzle test even if it's not red? Because I personally
What do you do?
would not want to touch it with my finger.
What do? You put the paper towel on what?
And it's
On-
it
on-
turns like darkish.
On the top of the oven.
Yeah. Let's say. Meaning
That-
I'm just trying to find a different way that
Yeah,
some of them
that's
won't
Liban
touch
Kal.
my
Yeah. That's
That's
not.
terrifying for me.
That doesn't tell you that it's Liban Gomer. It doesn't mean it's the highest level of heat. Like it's not equivalent to a blowtorch necessarily. The tissue will show you that it's the lower form of heat. We discussed before that similar to using hot water, you can use heat but a lesser intensity of heat. So the tissue, that's what the tissue shows you. It doesn't necessarily show you that it's equivalent to a blowtorch. But it's fine. It's also good enough, according to many opinions, that is good enough for the enamel top. So, and you're doing the best you could anyways. And we cover it afterwards anyways, because, we're not using a blowtorch. Also, you want to try to make sure the back of the oven, because all year the absorption, it splashes to the back, you want that when you're covering, what I try is, when I cover the silver foil, I try to pick it up a drop in the back, so the heat should sort of also escape to the top, to the back of the oven. But you just have to be careful. I learned this from experience, learned it the hard way, that because if you put all 4 burners very high, and you put silver on top, and you pick, and
You do let's say this for the back too, and then
it just works better when it's all together. There's much stronger heat. You could do just the back. If it's just the back, just the back, just do the back 2 burners. Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, but I'm saying is, what I try to do is pick up the silver foil in the back, so the heat is not just kashering the stovetop.
Are your buttons in the back? Like whether it's buttons or not?
Yeah, there are buttons, so you have to be careful. Just have to be, mindful of what's going on. When you pick up a drop, it's going to allow that the heat will also hit the back of the oven. But just be careful, because I once ruined my whole back of the oven by kashering. Yeah.
Wait, so you touching the stove top or the foil? Which one you touching?
You're touching. You're
Or
touching.
You see how it's like a spoiler?
Which one you trying to touch?
It doesn't matter. Either you use your finger. It's just to see that it's very hot.
Which one you touching? The stove top
And you're also going to touch the back of the oven. So you want to make sure the back of the oven is hot.
The back of the what?
The back of the oven, you know, where the buttons are, but not all the way up there. You're not going so high. You're going a little bit to the back as much as possible. And then, yeah, understand? You know, you're doing the best you could. You're not going to get it perfect because you can't destroy the oven. So you're trying and being careful, and then you cover it afterwards. Now, you want to make sure you're not covering any vents, because the back there's a vent. So make sure you're not covering the vent. So cover it and then cut it open. Now, the oven,
It has holes.
you see, in the back of the oven, there's like a vent. There's a vent.
I'll get to the back now. Fine.
When I say back, what do I say back? Oh, when I say back, I don't mean the back of the oven. I don't mean like this the oven. That's just the oven. I don't mean the back here. Let's say this the oven. I mean this. I meant yeah.
Not like behind the oven by the wall,
Yeah.
but like the top part of the back.
The
wall
top-
and the rear.
Where the buttons are.
Right.
Where the buttons are.
The
Yeah.
rear wall.
The rear wall.
The rear walled oven. Okay.
Yes.
And then the minig is we cover it. Very important to cover the burners also. I mean the igniters. What is it called?
The knobs.
The knobs. Thank you. The knobs. The knobs, because mamish, this is where you touch. This is where you touch all around with your chametz hands. You want to make sure that's important. Handles are crucial to cover. Sometimes people cover everything, and the handles are like the handles of the sinks. We cover everything, but especially the handles. It's very important. Now, we're getting to the oven now. Okay, the oven. The oven. So either if you have someone who knows how to use a blowtorch, the oven should be kashered, because sometimes there's spillages during the year. So it should be done with a blowtorch. If you have a self-clean, so then you asked about a self-clean, right? Self-clean, so that's great. Self-clean is great. Now, I think when you do self-clean, you're supposed to take out the trays, right? Because if you don't take out the trays, I think you could get damaged. It could melt. So you want to take it out, which means now, how do you kasher it then? Are you going to use the same tray? So again, whenever you're buying a new oven, keep in mind not only to get separate grades, to get an additional tray. It's like this for Pesach, you can put in a new tray. Otherwise, you have to kasher it, put it on top of the stovetop, and put it through the fire. Maybe you could cover it. It makes it more complicated. Yeah. In the oven, there's trays. Yeah, there's different racks. The oven racks. Yeah.
And if your oven is very old and doesn't have something? Yeah.
So then,
Asking for a friend.
so
Like
then,
self-employed.
so then you have to get someone to come with a blowtorch.
I can't just put it on 500 for 2 hours?
It's not for Pesach. It's not enough. Pesach was strict.
Wait.
No. Now theoretically, if you bake, I'll tell you, if you want to talk strictly halacha, if you're gonna bake in it, let's say dry foods, let's say dry potatoes, no liquid, and you're putting it in a foil pan and it's not touching the walls, halachically it's not an issue. But for Pesach we are strict. We cover everything because there can be liquid.
Could you put that rack on the 4 burners that are on
And kasher it.
and kasher through the 4 burners?
Yeah, but I think it should be rotated. Just leaving it 4 burners, then you're not getting every single part. It's something that you could rotate, should be rotated. Yeah.
Oh, so once it's in the oven?
How do you?
Before you get into practically cleaning it. It's the grease. I know. What are you using? I don't know.
Okay, so how do we clean the oven? I don't know. I never clean the oven. So
That's good.
you clean it as best as possible. You have to understand, we can only do the best we could, and that's it. We do our best. That's it.
You don't foil the oven.
No, we don't foil the oven. No.
Yeah, but your food's not
You
touching the walls of the oven.
Right, but you cook in this all the grease.
Yeah, it like splatters or
Okay, so you clean it. So what's the issue? You clean it. You hire someone to clean it. That's it.
So the blowtorch.
By
You
the
clean.
way, a loving tip.
It cleans it.
Yeah.
Do the first clean in Hanukkah, the second clean by Purim, the third clean right before you kasher, and then you're good. That's how we do it.
No blowtorch, just still.
Oh, so it comes to Pesach. It's not like
Exactly.
wow.
Our Pesach cleaning starts Hanukkah, the first clean, like we clean the oven, the grates, the everything.
Wow.
Then we clean again right after Purim, and then we clean again right before Kashering.
Good. Very nice. You're good. Good. Okay, now here's an issue that's very important. I'm not sure how many people are aware of this. And then, as we said before, we don't kasher glass for Pesach.
Right.
Now, the oven has a glass door. Yeah? There's a glass on it. So what do we do? How do we use it? And I'm talking about heat. It's intense heat over there. So we are really supposed to cover the glass. We should cover the glass because all it splashes on it. Yeah. And if you're cooking a Pesach liquid, things that have that the steam is rising. It's an issue. L'chatchila. So the glass is supposed to be covered. Now, how do you cover a glass door? You're going to use Scotch tape, and you're putting the Scotch tape inside the oven.
Oh, you making a joke?
No, I'm explaining. I'm saying if
Yeah, I know they don't do that.
I'm saying if you're going to put Scotch tape inside, we want to cover we want to cover. So now, if you're going to put Scotch tape on, it's ridiculous. You're going to be burning it. So what I do is I use double-sided tape, or I make it double-sided. Along the whole rim of the glass, I take Scotch tape and I double-sided the whole thing. Inside. I double-sided tape. Then I take silver foil and I put it against the tape. So the tape is on the inside.
And the tape doesn't melt off.
No, it holds. Sometimes it peels a little. It could peel a little bit, and then that tape will get a little singed, whatever. But it's pretty much, if you do it properly, the silver foil is protecting it. Use heavy-duty silver foil. I don't remember which one I use. I probably use heavy-duty. I assume I use heavy-duty because when it comes to the oven, I use and it holds very good.
There's the silver foil tape. See that one? I wonder if
Special for silver foil?
with tape. It's a tape.
It's a tape. It's silver foil. What's the advantage?
That it's silver foil. That's covering.
Oh, the
everything.
tape itself is silver foil.
Yeah.
Okay, they have that. Oh, so that's amazing.
I do think
Okay, I'm learning.
this year.
I'm learning a lot of things here. Wow.
That's great.
Okay. We already mentioned about the countertops. They should be kosher. The table should be kosher. You eat all year round.
Table?
The regular. I mean, if you have that's kind of table. I have a table that you could pour out. I think it's from Mike or what is it? Something like that. The regular table, same table you eat all year round. Shabbos weekday, one big table, and we eat directly on the table. Milchiks, so we kosher without water, and the meaning is we cover everything. Then we go to, so we pretty much finished the kashering itself. Now we're going to talk about more details about, let's say most people have fillings. People get cavities and fillings. And the chatchila, the proper thing is to kasher the absorption, what's inside the filling. Now, it's not a regular way of kashering, meaning it doesn't really have to be kosher because the heat is not intense. Once food gets into your mouth,
You use a blowtorch?
what?
I'm renting one if anybody wants to borrow one.
Once food gets into your mouth, even when eating hot food, it's not so hot. You're not going to burn yourself. So halachically, even though you have an absorption of food inside your filling, it doesn't have to be kashered. But the chatchila, when it comes to Pesach, we are careful, even if it's a kli sheni, kli shlishi, kli revi, we try to kasher it with that amount of heat. So chatchila, again, the same way it comes in, the same way it goes out. Whatever method of heat was used for it to go in, use that method of heat. You drink hot coffee. You don't burn yourself with hot coffee, right? When you drink hot coffee, so you take a cup of hot water and you drink You drink on this side, you drink on that side. You drink it slowly. Yeah, you drink it slowly. It's.
Oh, you drink it.
I don't know if you have to swish it because when we swish it, it cools off already. So really, I used to do it to swish it, but I think it's mainly just leaving it there as long as possible. What I do is I go like this.
That washes your mouth?
But yeah, no, you go like this.
Or drink hot water. And then drink hot water.
Yeah, so always you clean before, and also make sure you don't eat hot chametz 24 hours before. I'll show you like this, very simple. Look, go like this.
That's it.
You saw I'm holding the water? I was holding the water here.
Okay.
That's what you have fillings there. You hold it there. It's hot. It's not so comfortable. But in other words, you do it. You try to hold it as hot as you could tolerate, without hurting yourself. Discomfort is okay if you're a little uncomfortable. So it's uncomfortable, but you're not hurting yourself at all. And you hear it, and then you do this side. Do it a few times. It's simple. And sometimes people have dentures. They eat hot food with dentures, whatever. So you have to clean them before Pesach. If they could tolerate hot water, you have to find out the dentist what works. You pour hot water over it. I was going to get to that. Correct. Yeah, because rings. Because you're in the kitchen with your ring and there's hot chametz. Whether it's the dough also. When you're kneading a dough, you know it's cold, but dough is a very strong absorption because of the sourness. And also with chametz, hot food, the soup, you make matzah balls, the soup. You put your hand over this, take out a bowl of soup. There's a matzah ball in there. So the chatchila, you take now. Find out if the ring. I don't know if it can tolerate. I think it can tolerate hot water. Find out, and put it into hot water or pour hot water as hot as it can tolerate. Now, sometimes you have things, dentures. I'm not familiar with all the different ones that people use, and they can't. If it can't tolerate hot water, then you can also soak it.
Does
soak
someone need to kosher their braces?
It's stuck to your mouth. What do you mean? This,
I mean, it's in your mouth. I'm saying
like fillings.
Hot water would still apply.
The same. Yeah. Whatever you're doing. Whatever you're doing to your fillings, you're doing to so you have braces. You spend a little more time to get all the parts. Make sure. The main thing is to clean it very well. Clean it well. Yeah.
Going back, how many really layers you need to cover at the table, and of what? Just spoil or wood?
So it really depends. Like in the kitchen, you want it with this use a lot of heat all year round. Like the countertops, you want to use thicker ones. For the table, maybe it doesn't have to be so thick. It depends. I mean, they sell the corrugated plastic. That's very good. You see, it's hard to answer because it's not halach, it's minig. The minig is to cover it. But if you are covering it, you're going to cover it with this. It doesn't make any sense because it's so thin. So it has to have something to it, So what I have in my kitchen, I have leftover we put on the floor many years ago, leftover from the, not linoleum, there's another word for it. But it was some type of linoleum, and we had leftover floor, but it was a long pieces from a floor, not linoleum, I forgot what it's called. But we have pieces left over. No, it wasn't tiles, it's like separate pieces. It was a massive piece.
Stone?
No, like a material. What they use for flooring.
Okay.
Like in America, it's not real. It looks beautiful, but it's fake. So whatever that fake is for my.
The type of floor for the floor, and that became,
It's not real.
yeah,
It's painted.
and it goes on my counter. It's cut out. It was for one of the it's
Marble?
not marble. It's a material. I don't know what it's called, but it's not the panels like over here. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a type of linoleum. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a type of linoleum. They put it over the counter. Or every year you buy the corrugated plastic. You want it to be thick. I mean, whatever's available, it doesn't. Meaning it should be covered properly. You want to make sure also, like we said, the minute is to cover everything, but sometimes you can have from the hood of the oven, if it comes out and the steam all year round goes up to the hood of the oven, and now you have a paste like a pot cooking with food, the steam comes up and it hits the top where chametz hits all year round. So you cover wherever the steam can come into contact with something else. I mean, you figure out according to the kitchen when necessary that it's not going to get into contact with places that chametz gets all year round.
Do you have any thoughts on fridges and freezers?
Now, let's finish one more thing. So with different dentures that you have, sometimes you can't put hot water. You can also kasher with soaking it 24 hours in water, and preferably to be repeated 3 times. So that's another form of kashering.
Just regular water?
Yeah, regular water. Right. So in Shulchan Aruch discusses that just like cooking absorbs, if something is soaked 24 hours, there's an absorption. So let's say you have a glass cup. They don't cook in it, but wine stayed in there for 24 hours. So it absorbed. Non-kosher wine has to be kashered because it was there for 24 hours. How do you kasher it? The absorption came in not through heat. So you get it out the same way. How? With cold water. What does it mean? You soak it for 24 hours 3 times. And you repeat that, and you use different water, not the same water. You soak it for 24 hours in water, spill out the water, and you do it 3 times. That's how it's done. So that is also applied in situations when people have dentures that let's say we can't put any hot water. Okay, so you can put warm water, it's also good, but another way of doing it is, being that absorption is not such a strong absorption, it's not, you don't cook in it, so you soak it for 24 hours. If you can repeat that 3 times, that's even better. So that's another way of kashering. Yeah, you want to know, about fridges? The accepted minhag is that we cover, whoever came to contact with food, chametz, we covered. I'm not sure the reason, but minhag Yisrael Tairi, and this is how we saw it being done, and that's what we do. So whoever came to contact with food, some people won't be so particular about it. I believe there's flexibility here. Some people, if they're putting cases of food into the freezer, so they're like, why am I covering the freezer? I'm putting a whole box inside. But so that's already every person, according to their level, if they feel they want to cover it. The issue is that covering freezers is very tedious. It's very, getting it in the right and going around it, it doesn't go so easy. It's always a challenge doing it. Many people have that custom, that's how they always did it, and that they can continue doing it. Should you take it upon yourself? You have to decide if this makes sense.
Is there an option, I guess you could say, of just covering the racks, not necessarily covering the entire orifice?
Correct. In other words, it's not either everything or nothing. If you could just cover, if it's too much to cover the walls, you want to cover at least the racks in the refrigerator and the freezer, because that's where you're putting the food on. So that's also a good thing. Yeah?
And then also making sure that there's like ventilation of some sort.
Oh, make sure you don't block. Yeah. Right. Okay. Right. Right. Always. Right. In other words, always use common sense. Make sure you're not blocking anything. The air, ventilation, do everything thought out. Right. If you very. Not.
The handle.
All handles, wherever you touch all year round, especially, very important to cover. Handles of sinks, that should be emphasis. The sinks in general, the spouts, there's heat. Wherever there's heat, that's really we want to cover when there's heat. As opposed to a place where it's just cold, it's not as, I know some people, they'll cover the sink in the bathroom. Why? I don't know why they cover it. Yeah, some people, they'll cover the sink in the bathroom, or in shows, they cover the sinks. Maybe in the shows because they pour hot food over there, but there's no hot paste like a food coming there. So I don't know why they cover it. I'm not saying it's they have the minhag. When it comes to minhagim on Pesach, you're not supposed to put anything down, but it's already on the. If you're talking about in terms of what's important to take upon yourself, that's at the end of the list. It's like, okay, if someone does it, let them do it, but there's no real absorption of chametz. There is, but there's no Pesach food in the show on Pesach. So there's no what's the issue?
About the water spout. Some people keep the sock all the way through so that the water gets filtered into it.
So let
Some
me.
people adopt the bill so that any chametz that gets caught, you don't wash your water into it.
Correct. And the correct method is not to use a sock.
At all? Not
It's
even to cover
the
sock
sock.
outside?
The sock is very good. We know what it's good for business, for panosi, giving another yid panosa. But it's not in terms of. Yeah, it's good, very good for it. But in terms of chametz, it's not good. You don't want that because you on the contrary, you're accumulating chametz. There's no point in that. No point at all.
And what if you put a sock but then you open up the hole just to cover the outside of the spout?
Okay, so
Then you
yeah.
give the yid parnasa and you're not stopping
Oh,
the
so instead of using silver, use that to give you the panos. Then you do both. That's a good thing. Yeah.
They said in the message, like the shmata things, no?
The shma, right. That's
What
what.
are shmata?
But it's not. They do. It's
No,
not a good. It's not a smart
not a good
idea.
idea.
No, because what it does is accumulates chametz. Now you're accumulating it. What are you doing? You're accumulating it together.
Filter all your water through chametz.
Right.
Because the children that I'm going to for Pesach asked me to bring them some. But
It's
so
not.
should I say no?
You can
Not a
bring
good-
it,
I
just
mean, I
explain
can
the
bring-
Gemara.
Explain them that you're not accomplishing anything.
Okay.
You're gaining more than you're losing because you just
Yeah,
you're
but
accumulating.
there's many opinions.
We're not saying it wrong.
In other words, all the chametz before Pesach becomes nullified. But now you're separating it. Why are you separating the chametz? By the way, there are some that have astringency. My father does it. My parents do it. My father, that all the water they're going to use for Pesach, they collect before Pesach. So they don't. Whatever water he uses on Pesach, he accumulates before Pesach. Why? He says he feels that this is, if you're talking about astringencies, he feels this is like something very important. Not that you have to do it. I'm just saying in terms of what is like a stringency that has hands and feet that makes a lot of sense is not. I'm not saying other ones aren't good, but I'm saying this is something that in the pipes there could be chametz, right? You don't know what's there, and you're taking water out of the pipes. Now, halachically, it's nullified in 60 before Pesach, but whatever, it's coming in place. So now, if he collects all the water before Pesach, so now, even though, what's the difference? Before on is the same water, but before Pesach, if a drop of chametz falls into food, it becomes nullified. If on Pesach a drop of chametz falls into food, it does not become nullified. So that's a stringency that he has.
Is this stringency on eating and drinking, or also like showers?
No, not showers.
Then it's like, oh, then you own chametz because it went
No. We're talking about eating and drinking.
Okay. Not washing dishes?
No, just the eating and drinking parts. Because washing dishes, you're not eating and drinking it. No, I'm not saying that you should take on the stringency. It's a very difficult stringency. I mean, it's especially with a family, it's very difficult. I mean, it's not something that I grew up with. He did it much later. Not in the. No, exactly. Not in the. What he's saying, like the. You know. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
You by the well.
So just to clarify, the inside of ovens need an actual blowtorch.
Yes. It needs a blowtorch.
By the way, I just looked it up on Amazon.
$20. Yeah, with a big girl.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe Mindy and I will share it.
You're
We'll
welcome.
keep it.
I mean, put it again. According to, in other words, in halacha, you can get away with it if you clean it well. And if, let's say, you're only going to bake dry foods and have no liquid, and it's not going to touch, it's not. That's what I'm saying. So there is liquid, there's steam coming out, and that's an issue. It's the only way to get it out is through a blowtorch. Otherwise, you have to hire someone. Yeah.
And is this also for general kashering? Or is like
General-
it's more strict for Pesach?
It's more strict for Pesach, even general kashering, but all year round it's a little different. You could really all year round. If you're kashering from teif, it's all year round also. But all year round, you could, if it's on a temporary basis, you could cover the food properly on a temporary basis.
Okay. What if
Pesach,
you
it's not
make your
shy.
oven hot?
What?
Make your oven hot.
Yeah, to make your oven parv, that you don't need a blowtorch. Then you could just put on to the highest temperature. Let's say you have a flesh oven. I want to make challah as parv.
Yeah.
Put it on to the highest temperature. First clean it for the highest temperature for like half an hour. And that's it, you're good.
Oh, only half
Yeah, not
an
more.
hour. That was an hour.
No, some say even 20 minutes. Whatever it takes to get, how long would it take to get really hot? How long would it take to reach that temperature? 20 minutes, I would say. If the oven is working properly, you put it to the highest temperature. I think after 20 minutes, it's already reached that temperature. I believe so. An hour is too much. Unless maybe it depends on the oven. It has to reach that temperature. Any other questions?
How? Yes, a big deal.
Yes.
If I understand correctly,
Mm-hmm.
for someone who doesn't wait, like I, for example, I try to wash in my kitchen several days before so I can get cooking. I'm supposed to do the dikas chametz in the kitchen before I start cooking?
No.
What?
Why?
That's what I was told. Okay, good to know.
It could be that some are strict. I mean, there is such a thing when you're doing b'dikas chametz. If you are, let's say, getting a big order of Pesach of food, and you're putting it down somewhere, so it's best to do b'dikas chametz in that room before you fill it up with a bunch of stuff. For Pesach, do b'dikas chametz there without a bracha. But in the kitchen, where are you suggesting to do b'dikas chametz before you start? The floor? But you're not. There's no Pesach floor on the floor.
No, like the whole kitchen, like wherever we would do b'dikas chametz. That's what
Where do you do
learned.
b'dikas chametz? Let's say in the kitchen on the floor, right? That's just the kitchen, right? So I'm using the kitchen, cooking here, the food there, the food there, the food here. Yeah. Now I didn't do b'dikas chametz yet on the floor. B'dikas chametz is on the floor, so it's not in the way of the cooking for Pesach. It's in a different place, right? You're not doing b'dikas chametz on the counters.
You're not. Good to know.
What? B'dikas chametz is for the floor.
Only the floor?
B'dikas chametz, yeah.
What?
I did not.
Because
Wait, what?
Wait, really?
B'dikas chametz.
we're talking about the night of the 14th.
Yeah.
Of course, you clean everywhere. The night of the 14th, we go with a candle.
Just
You're going on the corners, the floor. Those days, they had the earthen floors. There were holes in the floor. There were cracks in the walls, and the chametz could be there. So wherever there's holes, cracks, primarily the floor. Those days, also the walls. We could stick chametz there. They would search, but you don't have to search with a candle. Go onto the counters.
really.
Or look above bookshelves. It's not necessary.
Not with the
or
candle.
fridge.
No, not with the candle. That you do it for base. The candle is the floor.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
I did not know this. Wow.
So then I can start cooking in my kosher kitchen before.
What do you mean? It's a separate kitchen?
No.
Oh,
no,
kasher
sorry.
Pesach.
But I kasher my kitchen. I
Right.
usually kasher my kitchen almost a week before Pesach,
Mhm.
so that I can start cooking and free stuff. Now I can already start cooking without any.
Yeah. Now, just so you know, in general, a person could do b'dikas chametz before the night of b'dikas chametz, as long as he leaves some rooms for the actual night. So, in terms of that, it can be easier. You could search part of the house. You don't have to leave everything for the night of the 14th. You just search without a bracha. Whatever you search for the night of the 14th, it's without a bracha. So you could do that, and then you leave some rooms for the night of the chametz, so you search with a bracha. So that's in general. You can do that.
Interesting. Okay. So as soon as my kitchen is kosher Pesach, I can start cooking. I don't have to wait for B'dikas Chametz.
Yeah.
Of any.
Yeah.
And B'dikas Chametz, the pieces need to be, the pieces can be hidden, not hidden, whatever. They should be put on the floor.
They should be hidden on the floor, so like behind, like under a bed, like in a corner somewhere, behind maybe a little behind the dresser, somewhere where it's reasonable for chametz that could get there. It shouldn't be. The kids think it's hide and seek. They try to hide in a place that you never. Yeah.
Yes.
Now you want to. It's very important that the kids hiding the chametz. You tell them to write a list. Tell them to write a list of all the places, because it happens a lot of times. It happens all the time. I mean, finish searching. I couldn't find 3 pieces. I only found 7 out of 10. They hid in such a place that no one ever, wildest dreams about sticking things there.
Wow. Okay. So
Yeah. Tell them to make a list of everything. Like this, you can find it.
But only
Yes.
the owner of the house can say bracha, right? Like if I'm going
Yeah.
to, I just there.
No, the obligation of B'dikas Chametz is on the owner of the house.
Okay.
Even if you're eating, let's say you're living in someone else's house, and you eat chametz there. Whose obligation is? The obligation is on the owner. Now, essentially, you have an obligation too if he doesn't search. But if he's searching, he includes you with the obligation. So you include his obligation. You don't not everyone has to be searching. You're eating in his house. If you rent your own apartment, your own room, it's a different story. Eat chametz there, that's different. But if he's staying in someone else's house, then he includes you with the obligation.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. Kashering for Pesach.
What's the saying? The children are not part with Pesach and the dust is not coming?
Yeah, doesn't come. Right. Yeah, doesn't come. The children of the current Pesach. Yeah, very important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good reminder. Also,